Michigan has got their guy, and it just so happens to be the one that we had been calling for weeks on end. Sherrone Moore officially named the next head coach in place of Jim Harbaugh, and a new era of maize and blue football is upon us. Let's go ahead and discuss, but if you are new here, welcome on into the channel, people. My name is Thompson. I'm a radio show host based in Houston, and I talk college football daily. I get the season's come to a close, but we're hell-bent on keeping you entertained throughout the entire offseason. So if you need your daily dose of college football, might I recommend that you smash that subscribe button down below. Leave a comment giving your thoughts on the Moore hire. Give me a grade. What do you think of this? What do you think he's going to do in year one? Tell your friends, your family, your mortal enemies, best of bros, college football aficionados, and Michigan faithful everywhere about this channel, because we're on the race to become the #1 YouTube show talking college football daily, and we're going to get there, so jump on in while the water's fine. Continue to follow me on social media at Mr. Cole Thompson. That way, conversations surrounding our favorite sport never have to stop flowing. So it's not official by the university just yet, but it's all but done deal. It's been reported by ESPN. It's been reported by The Athletic. They're very well in the know. Sherrone Moore is taking over for Jim Harbaugh. And at the end of the day, it didn't take 30 seconds. It wasn't a swift walk on over to the office, knock on the door, and say, "Welcome to the big party." It wasn't that for Ward Manuel, but we all knew that the writing was on the wall. This was a coach that had been built internally alongside Jim Harbaugh for years, on staff since 2018, grown as a coach, grown as a leader, and grown as somebody who has demanded excellence and respect from the players inside the locker room. So it's a proof of concept scenario here. You don't know what's going to happen in the next several weeks when it comes to the transfer portal. And even still, we have no idea what's going to unfold when it comes to the future of Michigan football. Some players, they can make a play for Jim Harbaugh. They like Sherrone Moore. He's a good guy. They think he could end up panning out, but they came for Jim Harbaugh. And those players have already made up their minds, regardless of who is going to be the hire. They will enter the portal, and they got 30 days to decide on what their future entails. But for the rest of the staff, those who just won a national title, those who demanded every single week, we play as sound football as possible. And we show the world it doesn't matter what the outside noise is saying. It doesn't matter if we have a coach on staff. It doesn't matter who is calling the plays. We're built to win a national title. You want to keep that same mantra, you go ahead and you hire from within. And with a guy like Moore, you're getting more of it. You're getting the same type of pedigree, you're getting the same type of persona, and you're getting the same atmosphere that was implemented for the last 9 seasons underneath Harbaugh. This is the loyal disciple, somebody who was handpicked by Jim to be in charge of this staff when he had a 3-game suspension. And he crushed it. Every sense of the word, he crushed it. This is not a coach who was well prepared to go head-to-head with the James Franklins and the Ryan Days and even the Mike Loxleys of the world. But he did, and he won. And he won every game, and he won 2 of them in pristine fashion. Both top 10 wins. The most rigorous part of Michigan's schedule, the part that everyone had circled on the calendar. This is where they come back down to reality. This is where Ohio State takes over. This is where Penn State finally makes a case for being a great team in the Big Ten. Nope. Wash, rinse, repeat. Every Saturday, they go to Indianapolis, and because of his efforts, they make it to the national title. The reason why this hire had to be made, not only because of the transfer portal window and what potentially you were going to lose, is at some point Sherrone Moore was going to be a head coach. Like, can you all just go back to the start of the hiring process when Texas A&M was looking for somebody, and then you had another university looking for somebody, and then the mass exodus after the Nick Saban retirement? He wasn't mentioned for any job. Well, largely, I think it was because everyone kind of knew the writing was on the wall when it came to Michigan. Everyone knew that if Jim Harbaugh was to leave this late in the process, they probably were not going to go through a mass search for a head coach. They were going to wait the proper amount of time before the announcement came out and Moore was going to be promoted. But let's just say Moore ended up staying and Jim Harbaugh stayed. And then next year, Harbaugh goes to the NFL. But it's at the same time. And the same thing happens. You win the national title. You go deep into the postseason. You're on top of the world. Who's got it better than us? Of course, you, Jack Harbaugh. But Moore's already signed on to another job. And it's in the Big Ten. And it's at a school that eventually is going to play Michigan. And that team ends up beating Michigan. That team ends up being the reason why Michigan is now holding an L next to its name at the end of the season. Pretty damn good coach. So if you can't beat them, join them. And before you can even join them, why not just take them? And so that's exactly what the game plan was here. Moore was waiting in line for years to eventually get his shot to lead a program. And now he has it. And here's the best part. There's an expectation in Ann Arbor. And there's certain criteria that have to be met every single season. You know it. I know it. The entire country knows it. Michigan's a school where you are expected to not only win games and fight for national championships, but you're expected to win certain games. Games against your rival. Game against the biggest rival in college football on this side of the Mississippi River. It's absolutely, you have to get it done against Ohio State. And unlike any other coach out there who potentially could have been in the running, Lance Leipold at Kansas, Chris Kleiman at Kansas State, even we could go down to Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Hello, Brian Kelly. How's everything going up with there in Tiger Stadium? None of them have been able to say they can go toe-to-toe with Ryan Day, with Ohio State, with this high-tempo offense that's only going to get better next season. But Sherrone Moore can. Moore can say he's done it, and he's done it at an elite level to where his defense came up strong in the second half, forcing an interception on Kyle McCord, and you punched your ticket to Indianapolis. He can say he's done that. So there's already a proof of concept of being able to win. Now the expectations aren't changing anytime soon. They never were in Ann Arbor because it's Ann Arbor. It's Michigan. It's hail to the victors. It's all about the maize and blue. It's all about having that persona of being the biggest and baddest because you have the biggest fan base and you have the biggest stadium and you're rocking and rolling on Saturdays whenever the Wolverines step foot on the field, regardless of the weather conditions, regardless of what's going on internally, regardless of what's going on with outside noise. You don't care. Fans flock to Michigan Stadium and the expectations aren't changing. But now they also don't have to because you already know who is running the show. You already know what type of offense you're doing, and you already know what type of personnel you have. And I do think that even though Moore is going to change some things up, because he should, this is his team now. You don't want a carbon copy process of what you have with Harbaugh. You want to be able to invoke your own style, your own mentality. Every coach does that. Even those who think that they are the next up-and-comer take a page out of the old books, or out of the old coach's book, or out of an old mentor's page, but they don't end up stealing the book and just doing a copy-paste version. They want their own style. But there is a brand that works, and it's a brand that Moore knows pretty well. Offensive line play, win within the trenches, fight for those hard yards in between the tackles. His offensive line won back-to-back Joe Moore Awards. So I think that you got a pretty damn good job and a pretty damn good hire when it comes to what you're looking for internally, especially at the terms of what you need to build your own roster and what's going to work in the MO when it comes to the long term of the Big Ten. He's going to change some things up, and he should. But the baseline, physical, smash mouth, hard-nosed football, kind of what Harbaugh did though for the last few seasons. That's back in town for 2024, and it's going to be in town for a long-term process as well. The thing is that when you look at a guy like Moore, this may take a little bit of time to grow. But at the same moment, look at Marcus Freeman. Freeman is at a major institution, Notre Dame, one of the most prideful schools in all of college football. Basically a blue blood if you want to throw it up there. And Brian Kelly leaves in the middle of the night, says, I'm going to go down to Baton Rouge. I want to win a national title. I don't know if I can get it done here. And players immediately said, we want to play for Coach Freeman. We want to be here with Coach Freeman. We want to go ahead and go to battle with the coach who was ready to stick it out. And they did. And guess what? Now, 2 years later, you are seeing the fruits of his labor kind of come to fruition. Notre Dame is a top 10 team when it comes to recruiting. They just landed another quarterback via the transfer portal that probably is going to be an even bigger upgrade than what you had with Sam Hartman. You brought over the right offensive coordinator in Mike Denbrock, and now we're looking at the Fighting Irish as a fighting team for a shot at the playoff. Michigan doesn't have to fight for a playoff because they know that they can get there. But now you're doing the same thing. Give more time. Let him adapt his own style. Let him bring in his own persona to this university. And it may come with some bumps and bruises along the way. But at some point, he's going to figure it out. And once he does, I would be hightailing it out of the Big Ten if I were you. And he's at a premier job to where if things pan out the way you see fit, there's maybe one job out there that you would take. And I don't think Kalen DeBoer is leaving anytime soon. And I know as hell Kirby Smart doesn't plan on going to the NFL in the not-so-distant future. So you could have 2 decades, if not longer, with a young coach under the age of 40 running your program for the foreseeable future. What does that entail? In a brand new version of college football that has 12 teams making the playoffs, no more divisions when it comes to the Big Ten, and just the 2 best teams going at it at Lucas Oil Stadium on an early December evening. 5 national championships, 10 Big Ten titles, multiple college football playoff appearances, top 15 recruiting classes, all of that still is on display, and you know it can happen with a guy like Moore. At the end of the day, he's very unproven when it comes to a head coach, but he was 4-0 this past season in place of Jim Harbaugh. Players respected him, and the second that they announced Harbaugh was going to the NFL, did you notice Twitter? I love this app. It's a beautiful app, and it should always stay free, but Go ahead and look at the players. That's always where I turn whenever a coach leaves the school. Look at what the players are saying. Zach Zenter, arguably the heart and soul of this offense this past year. No interviews needed. Papa Moore time in Ann Arbor. Everyone liked it. Everyone retweeted it. Everyone knew already what direction they were planning on going. And because of it, they now have the right guy. Sherrone Moore may take a little bit of time to get his feet underneath him, but I promise you, by the time this is all over and we look back on the tenure and he's sitting in an armchair telling stories to his grandkids, his great-grandkids, while sipping on a good old glass of bourbon, it will be a happy ending in Ann Arbor. Michigan got the right guy. And Moore, we're going to see more of him calling shots. Maybe this time it leads him not to a Big Ten title, but a national one instead. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching that video. Don't hit the X button yet. Make sure you hit subscribe to keep up with all of our daily content found on Just Saying It and anything else that we post on this channel. Bye.